Picture this, it's a sunny Saturday morning in your quiet suburban backyard. Coffee in hand. Watching koi fish glide under the surface of the little pond you've babied for years. Then two police cruisers roll up. Lights flashing. Because your HOA president just declared your private property community space and you're trespassing on it. That was me. And yeah, it got so much worse before it got hilariously, satisfyingly better. Oakwood Grove always looked like the kind of neighborhood they put on real estate billboards, manicured lawns, kids on bikes. That perfect Americana glow. I bought my place 5 years ago after the tech layoffs in Denver. The selling point wasn't the 4 bedrooms. It was the backyard, almost an acre of untouched land with a natural spring-fed pond the previous owner's family had maintained since the 1970s. Old survey maps. Tax records. The whole paper trail proved it was mine. The HOA covenant stopped at my back fence. Or so I thought. The trouble started the morning Martha Langley decided the pond was hers. I was out there in flip-flops, tossing pellets to the fish, when the sirens hit. 2 deputies stepped out, followed by Martha in her signature lemon-yellow blazer. Clipboard in one hand. Giant sunglasses perched on her head like a crown. She pointed straight at me like I'd just robbed a bank. That's him. Officers. He's been using the community recreational pond without paying the supplemental amenity fees. I've sent 3 notices. I blinked, still holding the fish food container. Morning. Officers. Community pond? This is my backyard. The older deputy looked tired already. Sir. We got a call about unauthorized use of HOA property. Martha crossed her arms, voice dripping with that fake sweet concern people use right before they stab you. Tyler. We've been more than patient. The board voted last quarter to designate all water features in Oakwood Grove as shared community assets. It's right there in the updated covenants. I almost laughed. Almost. Instead I kept my tone even. Martha. Your covenants don't override county deeds. This pond was here before your subdivision existed. She gave me the smile. The one that says I'm reasonable and you're the crazy one. We can't have residents thinking they're above the rules. Tyler. It sets a bad precedent. Everyone pays their fair share for the amenities that make this neighborhood special. The deputies exchanged a look. I could see the younger one already regretting his career choices. I finally pulled the folded survey from my back pocket, the one I'd started carrying the moment the first friendly reminder showed up in my mailbox. Here's the 1974 plat map. Signed by the county. Pond's clearly on my parcel. Your community asset starts 20 feet past my fence line. Martha's smile twitched. That document is outdated. The board approved an annexation expansion in 2022. The deputy raised an eyebrow. Ma'am, you got paperwork showing that annexation actually includes this specific pond? She waved her clipboard. It's in the minutes. The silence that followed was beautiful. Even the birds seemed to shut up. That was the first time I saw the crack in her armor. But Martha wasn't done. Not by a long shot. A week later I came home to a shiny new sign hammered into the grass right beside my pond, Oakwood Grove HOA, private community pond, members and paid guests only. No trespassing. The workers were still packing up their tools when I walked out. Morning. Martha, I called. Friendly as a Sunday potluck. You realize you're trespassing on my land to post that, right? She didn't even turn around at first. Just kept adjusting the sign like it was fine art. The board voted to rezone this buffer area at the emergency meeting. It's for the children. Tyler. Think of the children. I chuckled. You can vote to rezone the moon. Doesn't make it yours. She spun then. Cheeks already flushing. Your attitude is exactly why we need stronger enforcement. Some people just refuse to be part of the community. Part of the community usually doesn't involve stealing someone's backyard, I said mildly. Her jaw tightened so hard I heard it click. You'll be hearing from our attorney. And hear from them I did. 6 violation notices in 10 days. Fines for unauthorized enjoyment of HOA amenities, visual nuisance caused by non-compliant water feature, even 1 for failure to maintain community aesthetic standards because my koi were too colorful. The language was so corporate it was almost funny, if it wasn't attached to my bank account. I stayed quiet. Paid nothing. Documented everything. I'd learned a long time ago that people like Martha don't just want to win. They want you to fold so they never have to question their own power trip. Then came the newsletter. Local resident refuses to contribute to shared amenities. Threatens neighborhood harmony. My face wasn't in the photo. But the cropped shot of my pond with my dock in the background made it obvious. The comments in the private Facebook group were vicious. Typical freeloader. He probably doesn't even live here full-time. Someone should report him to code enforcement. I sipped my coffee and watched the outrage machine spin. Inside, I was taking notes on who piled on the hardest. Patience is a hell of a weapon when everyone else is busy screaming. The real fun started when Martha decided actions spoke louder than newsletters. One Thursday evening I heard hammering down by the water. Floodlights lit up my backyard like a stadium. 2 guys in reflective vests were building a small floating dock, right at the edge of my pond. Martha stood there in designer wellies. Flashlight in hand. Directing them like she was Steven Spielberg. I stepped out onto the deck. Phone already recording. Evening. Martha. Building a community dock on my property now? She turned. Caught in the beam of my porch light. For a split second her face showed pure annoyance. Then the mask slid back into place. This is a board-approved improvement for resident enjoyment. Tyler. You're welcome to apply for guest access once the fees are paid. I zoomed in on the workers. You boys aware you're trespassing? One of them looked nervous. The other kept hammering like his paycheck depended on ignoring reality. I kept filming. Just so we're clear, this is private property. County records. Survey pins. The whole deal. Martha's voice rose an octave. Stop filming me. This is harassment. Public sidewalks over there, I said. Pointing toward the street. My backyard is not. The video hit the local subreddit that night. By morning it had 120,000 views. HOA Karen builds dock on guy's private pond trended locally. Comments were brutal and beautiful, this is why people hate HOAs. Bet she measures her grass with a ruler. Queen of the Pond has entered the chat. Even some neighbors who'd been piling on in the group chat started sending me private apologies. Turns out public humiliation is the one language Martha's crowd actually understands. That's when the cracks inside the HOA started showing. Douglas Reed, the vice president, showed up at my door 2 days later looking like he hadn't slept. She forged the meeting minutes, he said quietly. Handing me a folder. The annexation vote never happened. She just printed what she needed. I can't keep covering for her. The board's terrified of losing control if this blows up bigger. I flipped through the documents. Signatures that looked identical down to the pixel. Amateur hour forgery. My lawyer had a field day. But Martha? She doubled down. The Saturday morning the bulldozer showed up. I was making pancakes. The low rumble shook the windows first. Then the beeping. I stepped outside in my robe to see a full-size caterpillar backing into my yard. Blade lowered toward the little dock I'd built with my own hands. Martha stood beside it like a general. Clipboard raised like a battle standard. Bright yellow blazer practically glowing in the sunlight. Good morning, Tyler. The board voted to remove unapproved structures from community space. This is for everyone's safety. I walked straight up to the operator. You got a permit for this? He looked at Martha. Then at me. Lady said it was cleared. Lady's wrong, I said. Pulling out my phone again. This is private property. You damage anything and you're personally liable. Martha stepped between us. Voice climbing. Regulation 8.4 clearly states. Regulation 8.4 doesn't override deeds. Martha. The deputy from the first visit, Morales, pulled up right as the blade touched wood. 5 noise complaints from neighbors who'd finally had enough of the weekend circus. He took one look at the scene and sighed like a man who'd seen too many HOA wars. Miss Langley. Please tell me you have actual permits for heavy equipment on someone else's land. She thrust the clipboard at him. Board authorization. He scanned it. Then looked at her with the deadest eyes I've ever seen. These signatures are photocopies. Did you forge board approval to demolish private property? For the first time. Real panic flashed across her face. Then rage. You're all in on it. Every single one of you. She spun dramatically to storm off, right onto the edge of my dock. The plank that had been loosened by the bulldozer blade gave way with a loud crack. Splash. Martha Langley. President of the Oakwood Grove HOA. President of the Neighborhood Watch. Self-appointed guardian of suburban perfection. Went ass first into 3 feet of pond water. Clipboard. Sunglasses. And dignity all went flying. The yellow blazer turned a lovely shade of muddy brown. A koi actually bumped her leg. The entire crew, workers. Deputy. Even the bulldozer operator, stood frozen for one perfect. Glorious second. Then Morales muttered. Well. She's really in deep now. I couldn't help it. I laughed. Hard. The kind of laugh that comes from months of biting your tongue. She climbed out dripping. Hair plastered to her skull. Mascara running like a raccoon who'd lost a fight. You'll pay for this. Brooks. This is assault. Water's cold this time of year. Martha, I said. Still recording. Might want to check your own covenants on public indecency. The county attorney's office moved fast after that. Forged documents. Misuse of HOA funds. Attempts to convert private property through fraud. Embezzlement of maintenance fees funneled to her cousin's landscaping company. The case built itself. In court she showed up smaller somehow. Still in yellow, but the fire was mostly smoke now. Her lawyer tried every trick, emotional distress. Community benefit. He provoked her, but the judge wasn't having it. 5 minutes after my lawyer laid out the deeds. Surveys. And video evidence. The gavel came down. Case dismissed. Charges against her pending. As we walked out, she hissed at me through clenched teeth. This isn't over. I built this neighborhood. No. Martha, I said quietly. You just tried to steal a piece of it. Big difference. She moved her obsession 2 streets over a month later. New development called Harmony Shores Estates. Construction trucks tearing up another patch of woods right along the boundary. I called the county surveyor myself this time. When they showed up, Martha was already there in a fresh blue blazer, directing workers like she was filming a HGTV pilot. The surveyor checked his tablet, frowned, and delivered the news. Ma'am, your permits were filed with the wrong coordinates. You don't own the shoreline. Not 1 inch. Her face went the color of old drywall. That's impossible. I invested everything. I just stood there, hands in my pockets, watching the last of her empire crumble in real time. She didn't scream this time. Just got in her SUV and drove away without another word. The machines disappeared. The woods started healing. I rebuilt my dock stronger, added a bench, and spent most evenings out there feeding the fish while the neighborhood slowly went back to normal. Peace, I've learned, isn't something you're given in places like Oakwood Grove. It's something you guard, quietly, patiently, and with receipts. Sometimes the loudest voices for community are the ones who understand it the least. So here's the question I keep turning over in my head, and I want you to answer honestly in the comments. Was I the villain for refusing to roll over? Or was Martha just another Karen who finally met the one boundary she couldn't bully past? Who was really in the wrong here, the guy protecting what was legally his? Or the woman who turned neighborly rules into a personal kingdom? Let me know. Because I'm starting to think every subdivision has its own Martha. And sometimes the only way to stop them is to remind them that respect isn't enforced by fines. It's earned by not being a tyrant in a yellow blazer.